Turn on, tune in, read more, and discover a world of stories. Sponsored by National Book Tokens. Hello there, my name is Stephen Butler and I am your guide today on this big celebration of books, the World of Stories Online podcast series. And today we've got a corker for you because we're talking about Darcy Burdock by the very colourful Laura Dockrill. 10-year-old Darcy Burdock is one of life's noticers. Curious, smart as a whip, funny and fiercely loyal, she sees the extraordinary in the everyday and the wonder in the world around her. In this first book, we are introduced to her family. Mum, who Darcy loves as much as her favourite, fried egg and chips. Dad, who is kind and fair if a bit hopeless. And little siblings Hector and Poppy, who Darcy likes dressing up in ridiculous outfits and having dance-offs with. Plus, there's her non-bleating pet lamb, Lamb-Beth, and best friend Will to have adventures with. Here is an excerpt of the book read by the author herself, Laura Dockrill.
Have you ever noticed you're noticing? Sometimes I notice that I notice so much that I get trapped in noticing my noticing. I like noticing all kinds of things. The way Dad always steals sheets of ham out of the pack in the fridge and thinks nobody sees him do it. The way our next-door neighbour, Henrietta, gets so embarrassed after she's told us off that she hides behind the washing line and innocently hums the tune to one of those soaps my mum watches. The way Cyril, the man who lives across the road, always looks the woman in the flower shop in the eye for ages and ages, like they're the only two people in the world that count, even though Cyril has a Mrs. Cyril, so obviously don't say I told you. This is called noticing, I guess. This book is made for noticers, the curious ones, you know, the ones who peep through spy holes when they're not meant to, the ones who nose into people's front rooms on their walk home from school. The ones who pretend they're doing up their shoelaces when really they're sneakily listening into a conversation. Of course, this book isn't for everybody, like how mushrooms aren't for me. Well, here is who this book is not for. Boring people, and Donald Pincher, and Jamie Haddock, and young babies. I am Darcy, and I am 10 but so nearly 11. I have long hair that I never brush, that everybody says is like a bird's nest or will turn into dreadlocks one day if I'm not careful. But in my eyes, I am mythical and magical, and my hair is just another thing that makes me more so. In fact, I'm exactly like a mermaid, except I'm not girly enough to be a full species of mermaid. I'm a bit normal too, like everyday marmalade, so it makes me a mermalade. Mermaid plus marmalade equals mermalade. Mermaids sit on sofas on the seashore with unbrushed hair, reading Japanese manga and eating peanut M&Ms. And when anybody has any danger, mermaids will immediately splash into the sea and be a hero. We can breathe underwater for years without stopping. We blow air into the mouths of anybody who needs it, but obviously not mouth to mouth because that makes a kiss. So we put a willing seashell in between our mouths and the drowning person's for hygiene reasons. Of course, being a mermaid has its advantages, and although I love it, I have to get on with being a normal person too. Plus, mermaids was a much more fun game when I was younger. These days, I mostly just get laughed at. I desperately want to be a writer. I dream about being a writer for whiles on end. I save up my pocket money, well, if I get pocket money, which I don't always, either because I've been too naughty or mum forgets or dad doesn't want to break a tenner because he's feeling stingy, and I spend it on notebooks. That's if I haven't already spent it on chocolate or pick a mix or bangers. And then I open up the first new, freshest page and I write my name in my neatest writing. Dad says I write like the waiter from the Chinese restaurant, in short, tight little squiggles like the sad trail a spider would leave after it's found itself drowning in a pot of ink and has helplessly clawed its way across the page in persevering agony to get to safety. This is my first book. One day this book will be published, and that means it will be on people's bookshelves and in libraries, and people in the library can read it, but not snotty, drippy babies or annoying geekazoids. It will be read by people like you.
And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that great reading there from Laura. And I think I'd quite like a pet lamb called Lamb-Beth. But if it turns out you're in the mood for something a bit different, why don't you head over to www.worldbookday.com, where you can find all the other podcasts to have a listen to. And they recommend tons and tons of books. And I know that one of them will be just perfect for you. So I hope you have a very nice time exploring all those brilliant stories. Have a lovely day and goodbye from me. Did you like what you heard? Visit your local bookshop or library to get the whole story.
Jibber Jabber Production. Jibba Jabba.